Yes, very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Pantech e-learning platform. This is R. Divyanjali from Pantech e-learning platform. Pantech, it is a platform where a student can experience, innovate and implement different research and development works over this platform. Today is the second day of our workshop, that is machine learning using Python. Firstly, I would like to welcome Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technology, Department of Information Technology. I would like to welcome Professor K. Jaishankar sir, the principal of the college, and Dr. D. Vijayalakshmi ma'am, convener and HOD of IT department, and the coordinators of the event, Mrs. U. Chaitanya, assistant professor of IT department, N. Sri Divya, assistant professor of IT department, J. Himabindu ma'am, assistant professor of IT department, and B. Meenakshi, assistant professor of IT department. I would like to welcome all of you, and I also would like to welcome all the participants to this second day workshop. Everyone can hear my voice. If any disturbances are there, please let me know in the comment section. So without any delay, let us move on to the session. So yesterday we have discussed all about the basic introduction to machine learning, Python language and library files, right? That is pandas library file. So whatever we have discussed in the yesterday's session about pandas library file, if you can practice such examples, it is enough for making you more interesting. Okay, now let me explain you about NumPy library file, and then we'll move on to the practical session where we'll be discussing about the project. Okay, any simple application we will take and we will move on with that implementation of that application. Okay. I hope everyone can see the screen. Yes, so we are about to learn about NumPy library file, right? Yesterday what we have discussed about all about the machine learning concept, introduction to machine learning, artificial intelligence technology. Let me rewind you once again. This artificial intelligence technology is very trending technology now in the market, in the society, where it can be simply defined like inserting human brain intelligence system into a computer or into a system so that the system will have the ability or capability to work as fast as our human brain responding, right? So we already know that it is really very complex to insert our human brain intelligence system, which is very high complexity. It is difficult to insert our human brain intelligence system into a computer, right? So that's why as number of research development works going on under this technology, certain domains came into existence like machine learning, deep learning, data science. All these domains came into existence. Okay, now let us move on to the concept of machine learning, where we have learned the basics about this, right? So basic definition, how can we define? So machine learning, the word itself describes a machine to be learnt, right? How it can be learnt? So this is little bit easy, right? So how can a machine learn that much easily? So using the past data. Okay, how? So it can be simply defined like a machine or a system which can be learned from past data, past experienced data, historical data. Using such data, it will be improvising in the present task or present application. Once again, let me repeat the definition. Machine learning in simple words can be defined like a machine or a system which will be learning from past experiences, past data, historical data. Using such data, it will be improvising in the present task or present application. There are different approaches in machine learning. Mainly 3 approaches we can find. First one supervised, second one unsupervised, and third one reinforcement approach. We have already discussed about these approaches and the process, how it going to be implemented, right? This is all we have discussed in the yesterday's session, and also we have discussed about pandas library file. What is this pandas library file? Yes, all the participants, it is a really notice. You can even make the session interactive by keeping the answers in the comment section. We'll see how many students from MGIT is going to be participated. How many are really interested? Yes, at least give it a try. Fine. So pandas library file is used for data accessing purpose. Why we have to access data? Because we are working with data. In order to do anything, we need some input, right? That input is some data. That input we have to collect. To work with some input data, we need this pandas library file, right? Now let us move on to this NumPy library file. NumPy is also a library file in Python language which is used for numerical values accessing purpose. To work with some numerical values or numerical data or some calculations purpose, numerical calculation purpose, we use this NumPy library file. These library files are really interesting, which makes our data so easy to work with. How can we install them, right? So whether it is pandas or NumPy, we can install in Python language by simply going to the command prompt pip install pandas, pip install NumPy in the same way, okay? So even in softwares also you can install with the same command, okay? Here you can see how I have installed pip install NumPy library file. It's going to be installed that module, that library, okay? Now import NumPy. I have already told you this is a library file and it is represented with np variable. We can give any variable representation over here. Here I have given as np, which I have given by default. We can give any variable representation. Next, this is my input set of data, that is some input values that I am giving to a variable. Okay, now I have checked the version and I am going to display the data which is present in this variable. Click on run. It's going to execute the elements. What are the elements that are present in this variable? Next, I am going to print the version of NumPy library file. So you can use this command to check which type of version that library file is consisting of. Okay. Next, moving on to the next line. Here are my 2 types of array of elements that I am accessing with the help of NumPy library file and storing in this variable ARR. Now I am going to print this variable. Next I am going to print the type of this ARR variable. Click on run. It's going to execute first the version of NumPy library file. Next, what are all the elements that are present in this variable ARR. Next, which type of data type that attribute is consisting of, that variable is consisting of. Which type it is consisting of? NumPy. Why NumPy? You can see the values all are some values, not some alphabets, right? So that's why we got here as NumPy. Clear? Fine. Moving on to the next cell. Here I have given certain array of elements 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 5, 6. These are my elements. Those elements I am accessing with the help of NumPy library file and storing in this variable. Next I am going to print this variable which is going to display what are all the elements that it is consisting of. Next, moving on to the next cell. This is my value input data. I am accessing with the help of NumPy library file and storing in this variable which is to be executed. So this is what I got the output as, array of this 42. This is my input which I have given, and that I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file which is executed. Moving on to the next example. This is my array of elements that I am accessing with the help of NumPy library file and storing in this variable which I have given to be printed. So these are all my array of elements which are present in this variable. Now working with different types of array of elements. This is my first element. These are all different types of inputs, right? So these array of elements I am accessing with the help of NumPy library file and storing in these variables A, B, C, D. Now first it will print what is the data it is going to be present in this variable. Next, it's going to display the dimensions, how many dimensions that A variable consisting of. Next it is going to display this D variable information. So you can see the information, right? So we have given here same, that's why we got the output as same. We can give any variable that it is going to be displayed over here. Moving on to the next cell. So with the help of index values, I would like to access the elements from the array of elements. So from A variable, starting from the index value 3 to 7, it has to be executed. Okay. So first I am considering some array of elements. With the help of NumPy library file, I am going to access. Next, different types of elements I have considered and stored in different variable. From C variable, these elements to be executed, these index values to be executed. So from C variable, first element, first one. So this is index value 0, this is index value 1. Index value 1, first element. So from this index value 1, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So the 1, this is the element. So it is going to be executed. Next, moving on to the next cell. These are my array of elements. I am accessing with the help of NumPy library file and storing in this variable. Now it's going to print this array of element of second element plus third element. What is the summation of array of second and third element? What is the second element? What is the third element? So index value 0, 1, 2, 3. So second and third, that is 3 plus 4. That we got the output as 7. It's interesting, right? Next, I have considered here the array of elements that I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file and stored in this variable. The third element on first dimension, that is array of 1, 3. First dimension, third element. What is that? We need to, it has to be displayed now, right? So we will check. This is the index value 0, this is the index value 1. So we need index value 1, third element. What is the third element? 0th element, 1, 2, 3, that is 9. So we got the output, right? Fine. Let us move on to the next cell. This is one more array of element I have considered with the help of NumPy library file I have accessed and stored in this variable. Now array from 1:4. It means from first value till 4 but not fourth element. Remember one thing, in Python language when we give some range, we have to give in some format like certain range, like 1, 4 if I have given, then it has to consider from 1 till 4, fourth element, but not that fourth element. It means 1, 2, 3 but not 4. Okay. So in that format it has to be executed. So here we have considered the range or accessing how 1 is to 4. It means from 1. So 0th element 1, 2, 3. So these 3 elements it can execute but not 4th element. That's why we got here the output as 2, 3, 4. Moving on to the next example. These are my array of elements that I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file and stored in this variable. First it has to print from 4 till all the elements present in the array. It has to execute. Next, till 4 but not 4. Okay, those elements to be executed. Next, range I have given as from -3 till -1. This is the range. Next range I have given as 1 is to 5 is to 2. This is different case. So till now we have given only 2 values to be accessed. Here we have given 3. What may be the answer? How it can access the data or values? So it's nothing but from 1 to 5. So you can check from 1 to 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From 1 to 5 with the difference of 2. So it has to take the difference of 2. 2, 4, 6. So 6th value it won't execute. Okay. So this is how we got the output here. Next in the same way. From 4 to all. Index value 4 till last element. How? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So from 4 to all. 5, 6, 7. We got the output right? Next. Till 4. It means 4th value won't execute. 4th index value won't execute. Let us see that. Index value 0, 1, 2, 3. So these elements we got the output here. Next, -3 to -1. How this -3 to -1 came? So here when we give some negative indexing values, it has to come from reverse indexing. That is from last element onwards. So this is -1, -2, -3, -4 in this way. So what is the range I have given? -3 and -1. So what is -1? When we give some last range, it has to not execute. So -1 won't come. So -2, -3 it came. Right? These are my array of elements. Fine. I hope you are enjoying these library file examples. This is little bit easy and interesting. Right? Next example, these are my array of elements that I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file and stored. Now print this array of elements of first index within this range from 1 to 4. So this is index value 0, this is index value 1. So from this index value 1, it has to execute from 1 to 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. So till 4 but not 4. That's why we will get till here these values. Okay. Fine. Moving on to the next example. Input NumPy library file as NP. Now I have considered some floating point value of array of elements. I have accessed them with the help of NumPy library file and stored in a variable ARR. First it is going to print the type of this variable. Next it is going to print which type of data type that variable is consisting of. Right. So first we got the type of that array of elements. That is nothing but NumPy array of elements. Next is which type of attributes, which type of values that variable is consisting of. That is floating point values. Okay. Next. Here is one more type of data I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file and stored in this variable. It is going to print the data type, which type of data type that it is consisting of. So you can see here UC, it's nothing but some characters, strings. Okay. Fine. Moving on to the next example. In the same way I have considered array of elements and stored in a variable. First it is going to display what are all the elements present. Next it is going to display the array dot shape. Dot shape represents total number of rows and columns present in my input data. Okay. Next, array of index value 0. So the index value 0 is this, so these elements to be executed. So first array of elements means total array of elements is going to be executed. So this is the shape of this ARR variable, that is 2 rows 4 columns. Next cell. These are my array of elements. I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file and stored in two variables ARR1, ARR2. Now I am doing this concatenation of these two variables. Axis 1 represents columns, axis 0 represents rows. That I am concatenating. Concatenating means adding, joining. Okay. So that data to be stored in ARR3 variable. First it will print ARR3 variable. Next, stack of ARR1, 2 of axis 0. Axis 0 represents row information. In a data set, the information of row is seen over here. That to be stored in this new variable. So which is going to be printed. First we got ARR variable, that is the combination of ARR1 and ARR2. Next, we got the columns data. Next we got the rows information. Okay. Moving on to the last example of NumPy library file. These are my array of elements that I have accessed with the help of NumPy library file and stored in this variable. Next I am going to split the data from this fifth data. Okay. So it's going to print this new variable now. So array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These data to be splitted into 5 parts. We have been splitted our input data. Okay. So this is all about NumPy library file. I hope you understood till now, right? Yes, please make the session interactive, guys. Yes, now let us move on to the real-time application, that is I am going to explain you about medical cost regression using machine learning. So this is really an interesting project, real-time application. So if you can understand this, you can implement different projects in machine learning. So what is this medical cost prediction using machine learning? We have already discussed some introduction about machine learning. Now let us discuss about this medical cost prediction. What do you mean by medical cost? You already know health issues, hospitality, how it will be done, how it can be suffered. So number of patients will be there. So they will be going to the hospitals and they don't have perfect calculation. They will only follow the instructions and they have to pay at any cost whatever the amount they have told, they have to pay, right? The patients have to pay the full amount. So whether that is correct or wrong, that we can calculate for 1 or 2 days, it's fine. But for suppose a patient is staying for 1 week or 1 month or 15 days, so it costs huge, right? And for manual calculations it takes little bit tough. That's why we are moving on to this medical cost prediction using this machine learning concept. So this is all about the basic abstract. So in this we are going to implement different machine learning algorithms. Using that we need to predict which algorithm is going to give us the best accuracy. So what are the different algorithms we are going to implement in our project? All the different algorithms comes under regression technique of supervised approach. Those algorithms we are implementing. Why regression? Why not classifier algorithms we are not implementing, right? Why? Because regression algorithm is applicable for discrete values. Fine. Now let us move on to the next slide. Here you can see in the existing system what are the different approaches we are having. One approach is manual calculations is already present. So previously we have applied supervised as well as unsupervised models for this predictive analysis. So they have suggested machine learning tools and techniques and decisive in healthcare. So it's nothing but, although we have implemented different algorithms, we were not satisfied with them. So that's why one more approach we are doing, one more algorithms, not classifier, it comes under regression, right? So this regression technique is what we are newly implementing in our project. So let us move on to the next slide. Here you can see the proposed system. What we are going to implement in our proposed algorithms. What are the different algorithms we are going to implement in our project now? So firstly we will be considering the data set, you already know. So our data set will be consisting of all the details of the patients. So name, age, how many times the patient have been, what is the problem of the patient, everything details will be present in my input data. Okay, so these are the different algorithms which we are going to implement in our project. That is linear regression, support vector regression, decision tree regression and random forest regression. I'll explain you in detail about these algorithms while we are implementing our project. Moving on to the proposed approach, what are the different steps, how we are going to implement. So first we need to initialize the data set, which is nothing but the collection of number of rows and columns. That input data which is consisting of training as well as whole input data of the patients. That input data we have to initialize. Next, select all the rows in one column from the data set to X variable, which is nothing but an independent variable, and select all the rows and column to a data set to Y variable, which is a dependent variable. Okay. Next, the fourth step will be, we will be applying different algorithms to our data. Algorithms like decision tree regressor, support vector machine regressor, linear regression, random forest. These are all the things we are going to apply. Next, we are going to predict a new value when a new patient is being come. So what are all the facilities that patient has been provided and what is the total cost of that patient utilized services. Next, it is to be visualize the results and check the accuracy level. So this is the system architecture, how it's going to be processed. First, I have given the raw data. What do you mean by raw data? User input given data, that is nothing but raw data, that we are giving to a pre-processing step or pre-processing module, where we will eliminate all the unwanted data that is present in my input, like null values, white spaces, symbols. Such type of data will be eliminated, neglected, and the data that is utilized for further prediction will be filtered over this pre-processing step. After pre-processing, we will be given to this data scaling and extraction. It's nothing but we will extract each and every attribute data in a graphical format to make the system understand our data in a simple manner. Next, we are going to apply different machine learning algorithms and evaluate the result of different algorithms, how accurately they have been predicted. So this is the interior design. How? Collection of data set from Kaggle store. So we are going to collect our input data from Kaggle, and we also can collect the input data from UCI repository. These are the websites we can collect our input data set. After collecting the data, we are going to split the data into training and testing sets. So where we will divide our data into two categories. One category of data is called training data and the other category of data is called testing data. Training data, testing data. What are the usage? What is the use of these training and testing data? So training data is nothing but it is used to train the system, train the algorithm to make the system understand what our data consisting of. Whereas testing data is considered to be as a new data. Whenever it is being given, it will be compared with the training data set and going to execute certain output predicted data. Okay. Next, so here we have splitted the data. For that training and testing, we are going to apply these algorithms. each algorithm going to understand what our data is with the help of this training data. Next, we are applying this testing data to these algorithms. It is to be calculated. So now it's going to calculate the best model, which algorithm is going to give us the best results. So what are the basic system requirements? Software requirements of operating system Windows 7, 8, 10 of 32-bit and 64-bit, anything you can use, and Python ideally or Anaconda Navigator is fine. Okay, moving on to the hardware requirements. Processor of dual core, speed should be of 3.1 GHz, RAM should be 4 GB, hard disk should be of 200 GB. So these are the system requirements. Moving on to the system modules. So here are different modules, that is nothing but data collection, data pre-processing, modeling, metrics evaluation. What are these each and every step representing? Data collection is nothing but collecting our input data, where we will be having different attributes information. So different information about patients in our project. So these are all the different attributes which we can find in our input. So you can see age, gender, children, smoker, region, charges, what are the charges of the previous patients who have already taken all these services, like that we can have in our input data set. Next is pre-processing, where we will be eliminating all the unwanted data, right, and filtration can be done. So these are the three common steps we can find, that is formatting, cleaning, sampling. So formatting is nothing but deleting, okay, eliminating, neglecting. Cleaning is nothing but filtering. Sampling is nothing but we will divide our whole input data into number of samples. Moving on to the next step, that is evaluation metrics. So this is nothing but the output block, where we are going to get each algorithm's output prediction. So that we have to calculate with R2 score. So which is giving us the best accuracy, that is what we are going to calculate at the end. So now let us move on to the practical explanation. So before this, let me tell you once again, we are going to implement our project in Anaconda Navigator software in Jupyter Notebook editor window. If you want, I can even tell you theoretically how to install Anaconda Navigator within 1 to 2 minutes itself. First, go to Google Chrome and type Anaconda Navigator download. Click on individual edition. Next, you can see a download symbol over there. Click on that. It will be downloaded in a file format. Click on that file. A window will be appeared. Now just click on next, 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 and then click on finish. It will be installed in your system. After that, go to start, all programs, and type Anaconda Navigator. Now click on open. It's going to open that software, that is Anaconda Navigator software. In the home page, you can see different editor windows. Among all them, you have to select Jupyter Notebook editor window. Click on install and launch it. After that, go to start, all programs, and type Jupyter Notebook. You can see here, I will be doing that. So go to start, all programs, and type Jupyter. Click on open. It will be opening the command prompt in this way, and it will redirect us into the new window which you can see on the screen. So this is how the screen home page of Jupyter Notebook look like. Now select the location where your file is stored. Okay, so you can see the different locations like desktop, documents, downloads, all these. Select that and select the file name. So you can see, for suppose I have selected my files. So select any file that it is going to open the coding file. Okay, now let us move on to the practical implementation, how we have done this, right? I think everyone is excited, right? Fine. So in order to work with any project, first we need to import all the library files, right? So these are the library files. This is the Jupyter Notebook. Here you can see that rectangular boxes. These are called as cells. If you wanted to add more number of cells, click on this plus symbol. If we wanted to delete any cell, click on the cell outside and click on delete. That is scissors. Okay, it is going to be deleted. And we can copy the cells in the same manner. And one more thing, we can run the data or execute the data in two ways. One is click on the cell and click on run symbol. And the other one is click on the cell anywhere and click on shift plus enter on your keyboard. Okay. First, import warnings. Warnings to be neglected. Next, import pandas. Pandas is a library file which is used for accessing of information, input data, and it is represented with PD variable. Next is NumPy library file. NumPy is a library file which is used for numerical values accessing purpose, and it is represented with NP variable. Next, import Matplot library. Matplot library is used for visualizing the data in a graphical format. So in this Matplot library, using this pyplot module as PLT variable, we are going to visualize our input attributes information. Next, import Seaborn. Seaborn is a library file which is basically used in this Matplot library for customization purpose. For suppose if you wanted to indicate any color indication to any attribute, we can use this Seaborn library file which is represented with SNS variable. Now, so this is my input information. Let us check what is this data. What is my input data consisting of? Okay. So you can see here clearly, I guess. So this is my information, input data. So my input attributes consist of age, gender, BMI, children, smoker, region, and the charges of that patient. So these are the details we are having in my input attributes. These are all my past records data. Fine. Now let us go back to the code. So this is my input file name. .csv represents it is an input Excel sheet data. That input I am reading into the program with the help of pandas library file and storing in this variable. Next, I have applied header function. What is this header function? Why we have to apply this header function? So here, as we have collected our input data, we need to do some pre-processing steps. So we can do like not only applying header function, we do have still different functions. Let me explain you. So header function, first let me run this. If any errors are there, it is going to be executed below the cell itself. So if I give some value within this like 5, it's going to execute only 5, first 5 rows. Okay. In the same way, if I give something like 50, it is going to execute first 50 rows of information. If I won't give any value, by default, it is going to display the first 5 rows of information. So this is my output, where the first 5 rows with all the columns information is to be displayed. Next, we can add something like variable dot tail function. So which is going to display what are all my last 5 rows of information. Next is I have applied information block to this variable. Information block describes 3 parameters. For each and every attribute, it is going to display the total count of that attribute and whether that attribute is consisting of any null values or not, and which type of data type that attribute is consisting of. Next, for this variable, I have applied shape function. Shape function describes the total number of rows and columns present in my input function. Next, I have applied columns function. Columns function describes what are all the columns that are present in my input variable. Why we have to do all this means this is a part of pre-processing technique where we are making our data simple. So from sklearn, so we have collected our data, we have made our data to be simple, right? Next, in this pre-processing, from sklearn.preprocessing. Sklearn is a library file which is used for accessing of machine learning modules or machine learning algorithms. So from this sklearn.preprocessing technique or pre-processing module, we have imported this label encoder. Generally, what do you mean by encoder? Yes, you can make the session interactive, guys. You can please answer in the comment section even. So generally encoder is nothing but converting any form of data into binary format. Okay, here label encoder we have imported this module. Why? Because already we are having the labeled data. As we are working with that labeled data, we have to encode that labeled data. Okay, so we have taken the module and stored in this variable. Now I have taken the variables, that is attributes information, column information, that I am fitting with this variable and storing in this columns. Next, for this new variable I have applied header function which is going to display first 5 rows of information with all the columns that are present in my input. Now I am going to this data exploration, that is nothing but visualization, understanding of my input data. How we can do that? How we can make the system understand our data? So it is just by simply analyzing the data in a graphical format, we can make the system or model understand what our data consisting of. So we have used this attribute, and from this variable I am going to access this attribute information, and that variable data I am count plotting with the help of SNS variable, that is nothing but Seaborn library file. So count plotting, how many are plotting under 0 and how many are plotting under 1. So that it is going to be come here. It's going to come here. Next, count plotting according to gender as an attribute in my input. So how many are count plotting under zeros and ones. Next, I am going to split the data. So this is really interesting. I'll make you little bit understanding this. So this data splitting is very easy. How can we split the data? I'll show you now. So For suppose this is my input data, which is consisting of some number of rows and number of columns. Where I am representing my input as X, output as Y. Okay, so I have to divide now my whole input in certain ratio like 6:4, 7:3, 8:2, 9:1. In this ratio I have to divide my data. Why in this ratio I have to divide? Because as per the rule, we have to give more amount of data for training purpose, less amount of data for testing purpose. That's why we have to give more amount of data for training purpose. So I will consider here as 8:2. We can take any ratio. Here I have taken as 8:2. It means 80% data to be given as training data, 20% data I can given like testing data. So I have divided my data. This is my training data. This is testing data. So this part of the block becomes X train. It becomes Y train data. Next, this is X test. Next, this block is called Y test data. X train, Y train. These both are used for training the model to understand what our data consisting of, whereas X test is our estimation that system may give this much amount of prediction. That is what our estimation, whereas Y test is the actual prediction that system is going to give us at the output. So I hope you understood how to split the data, right? Now let us go back to our coding. How I have splitted my data? All the columns except charges column to be stored in X variable, only charges column data to be stored in Y variable. Now I have applied header function to this X variable, which is going to display the first 5 rows with all the columns except that charges column. Now from sklearn.model selection technique, we have imported this train test split module. So train test split module is used to split the data. Next, what we have done, we have imported different modules like from sklearn.metrics. Metrics is a module which is used for mathematical calculations purpose. So from sklearn.metrics, we have imported accuracy score, confusion matrix, recall score, ROC curve, AUC model, AUC score. So these are the different modules we have imported from sklearn. Next, so using this train test split module, I have applied this module to X and Y variable, and the test size as I have given as 0.3. It means 30% data to be given as testing size. Remaining 70% data, that is treated to be as training data. So in this format, I have divided my data into X train, Y train, X test, Y test data. Now for X train and Y train, I have applied header function, which is going to display the first 5 rows. Right. Now moving on to the algorithm implementation. So first we have applied random forest regressor. What is this random forest regressor? So it comes under the regression technique of supervised approach, where it is implemented for multiple conditions. For multiple conditions, we will have multiple outputs. For suppose I am giving the inputs as 3 conditions, so I will get the outputs as 3 outputs, right? Each condition giving us whether that condition is true or false, yes or no. Okay, so I am having 3 conditions, 3 outputs. So what are that among them? 3. 2 are representing as yes condition, 1 output representing no condition, for suppose, for example. Okay, so based on the majority voted output, the actual output will be determined in this random forest regressor. So from sklearn.ensembling technique, we have imported this algorithm. Next, taking this algorithm into a variable, storing in a variable. Now I am fitting X train, Y train data to this variable. Next, Y prediction to be calculated by taking this X test data. Now from sklearn.metrics, So we have imported this matrix module, right, which is used for mathematical calculations purpose. Now we would like to calculate what is the output prediction. Now from sklearn.metrics we have imported this R2 score. It is going to print the R2 score. How it's going to be calculated? With the help of y-test and y-prediction values, it's going to be calculated. So we got the output as 0.82. It represents 82% accurately. Random forest regressor is going to predict our data this much accurately. So 82 is a great, right? Great accurate level. So this algorithm satisfies our condition. Next is from sklearn.linear model selection. We have imported linear regression, where our data to be plotted in a linear line. Okay. Now taking the algorithm into a variable. Next fitting xtrain ytrain data to this variable. Next y prediction to be calculated by taking xtest data. Next it is going to print the score, R2 score, which it is going to calculate with the help of y-test and y-prediction values. So I got the output over here as 0.67, which represents 67% accurately the data can be predicted with the help of linear regression. Next is decision tree regressor, which is applicable for a single condition. For a single condition, we will have yes or no as my output. So based on that yes or no condition only, the output will be determined. So from sklearn, we have imported this tree. So from this tree, we have imported this decision tree regressor and stored in this variable. Next fitting xtrain ytrain data to this variable. Next output prediction to be calculated by taking xtest data, which is to be printed the score with the help of this y-test and y-prediction values. Here I got the score as 0.72, which is also the best score, one of the best score, that is 72% accurately. We are able to predict our data. Next, SVR, that is nothing but support vector machine regressor, where it is applicable for different conditions with the help of kernel function k of f. The data will be plotted in three ways. As per our input data, it can be plotted in linear way, sigmoidal curve format, or in 3D plotting. In these three ways, the data can be plotted. So from sklearn.svm, we have imported support vector machine regressor, taking the algorithm into a variable. Next I am fitting xtrain ytrain data to this variable. Next prediction to be calculated with the help of xtest data. Now it's going to be printed the score R2 score with the help of y-test and y-prediction value. Here we got the score as minus 32410.38. Why in this way? Because here we have implemented for algorithm, right? So this algorithm for multiple like linear, sigmoidal curve, 3D plotting, for all these if we calculate the score, we got some minus integer values. For suppose if I wanted to calculate the new patient's cost, medical cost, so I can give here the test vector. So with the help of NumPy library file, I am reshaping my array of elements. So these are my inputs. 1, 6 is my range. So these are each and every attribute information I have given within this range. Now I am going to take this test vector of 0th index value. This is nothing but this is the index value 0 data. So that I am accessing. So that type of integer value I am accessing with the help of this test vector and storing in this variable. Now I am going to get the output as I have applied the prediction function, regressor.prediction function. It's going to be tested with the help of training data. It's going to calculate and it is going to give us the final output. 9303 is what my total cost, medical cost. For suppose if our grandparents or some relatives are in hospital for any medical cost issues, in real time applications, to know the total medical cost, we can use this application. So we got the total cost as 9303. It means 9,303 rupees is the total cost. With every NP, every rupee, it's going to be calculated. It won't get minus or it won't get loss. It is to be balanced as per the services the hospital has been provided to the patients. It's going to calculate everything and going to give us the perfect accurate results. I hope everyone understood the application. It's a real-time application. You can even implement in your using real-time data also for your projects. I hope everyone enjoyed the session, right? So this is how we can, this is just exploratory, that is nothing but our input data exploration we have seen, right? So coming to the conclusion, what we can conclude with this, with our project. So this project we are implementing different algorithms and we are getting the best results with the random forest regressor, that is nearly 82% accurately our data to be predicted at the output. So random forest regressor is giving us the best results, right? So this is all about the project. Any more doubts regarding this application? Yes, you can even put in the comment section if you are having any doubts at any point in this session. We can discuss, we can make the session interactive. So till you put the doubts, let me thank once again the college management of Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technology for giving me such a great opportunity, especially the Department of Information Technology for organizing this 2 days workshop and machine learning using this Python language, which is really important and very useful to this information technology IT branch. And you have chosen the perfect topic, that is machine learning using this Python language. It is really trending, and today whatever we have discussed in the application, so that is one of the important real-time application, that is medical cost regression using this Python language. In this 2 days agenda, if we have discussed all the related topics of machine learning basic concepts, including the real-time application along with library files description with examples. If you have attended these 2 workshops, these 2 days workshop, you can build any project in machine learning. You just need to practice, that's it. Okay, so I once again thank the Department of Information Technology for organizing this event. I would like to thank the principal, convener and coordinators of the event for encouraging the students and for associating with Pantech. Pantech is always the one of the best platform where a student is receiving, where a student is waiting for different opportunities, different technologies. This is the best place where you can not only do mini and major projects, you can even have different internships, different value added courses over this platform. This is one of the best platform. We always wait for the students who work on different real-time applications, who work on different research development works. Pantech always welcomes the students with new ideologies. So I hope, I also thank all the students for making the session so interactive. And last but not least, if you like the session, please do like, comment and even share to your friends who are in need of the basic knowledge along with the basic grip. How can they implement projects in this machine learning? So if they are in need, this presentation, this seminar, this webinar and this workshop is 100% the best. It is going to give you the best information. I hope every one of you enjoyed, and last but not least, please subscribe to Pantech e-learning platform, and thank you so much for giving me such a great opportunity. Thank you all. Someone messaged like, "Ma'am, nice wallpaper." Thank you so much, Christopher Vijay. Thank you. Yes, any more doubts, guys? Thank you all for the encouragement. Fine. Thank you all. Let us conclude. Thank you all. Have a very nice time.